This video is brought to you by Fiverr. If your situation is at all like our situation in today's economy, you're finding yourself needing several ways to bring in extra income to make ends meet. For me, that means transforming anything that used to be a hobby into something that makes money. Today, I want to talk to you about how I've done that with event photography and documentary photography, and to offer any advice I can if you'd also like to build an event photography business where you live. Rather than just dive straight into marketing and advertising your business, it's a good idea to do a little research first and attempt to understand the market in which you operate. In your locale, what type of events are people putting on regularly? Are there many event centers, hotels, larger Airbnbs that are used regularly for reunions or weddings? And what type of events are they hosting? Are there church events, corporate events, community events, family gatherings, weddings, etc.? As an example, where I live in St. George, we are known for excellent weather, and many sporting and tournaments like marathons and things like World Senior Games are put on here. It's also a destination for corporate retreats due to its close proximity to national and state parks and recreation, and of course, lots of weddings, but that's where I draw the line. I don't do weddings. Once you've done some of this research, you'll then be armed with the data you need to help you build a targeted portfolio. If you're like me, when you're creating this portfolio, you'll realize that there are holes or gaps in what you have to showcase versus what people need in your community. But as an event photographer, that's an easy problem to solve. For me, I acted as a volunteer for a few nonprofit events to help grow my portfolio. I'm not telling you to take unpaid jobs or undervalue your services, but for me, I didn't want to sit around waiting for someone to take the risk to hire me for certain types of jobs that I couldn't prove in a portfolio that I had the skills to do. I just wanted my portfolio to look as good as possible as soon as possible, so that meant nonprofits. In addition to just helping me relax and focus on creating the most artistic shots as possible that I was happy with a client who was just grateful to have me and had zero expectations, it also provided me a business write-off, and it allowed me to network and meet additional people in my community. The other thing we did was to photograph community events. I absolutely love street photography, and we go to these events with our family anyway, so showing up to a community outdoor market or festival and just acting like you're the official photographer can help you enjoy these events more, but also do a lot to add to your portfolio. And here again, while you're there, take an opportunity to introduce yourself to anyone event related. Do you see an event manager? Give them your card and offer to send them photos for free this time. Give your card to DJs or AV groups that you might see at the events. Which takes us to the next thing I'd recommend, which is to have a strong branding. If people want to take you seriously, you need to take yourself seriously, and that means investing in a strong brand. I actually was a bit late to the game on this, starting with a zero logo and not really any brand to speak of. But this is where Fiverr came into play, and it really helped me. I recently turned to Fiverr to help me build a stronger identity. I was able to find a designer with a strong portfolio to help me develop a logo, business card, and basic branding elements to help inform my website design. Vladislav had his work cut out for him since I was pretty picky. I didn't want your typical cliche photography logo featuring a camera or aperture clip art that you see everywhere. I wanted to stand out, but still reflect photography in some way. He was up for that challenge and delivered a lot of unique options. The one we ultimately arrived on reflected both a geotag and a silhouette of a camera. The geotag was a nod toward event work, and I really loved that approach. For the money I spent on Vladislav's service, $285, the value is well worth it, and I'd recommend you go to Fiverr yourself to develop a brand and identity that will help your business be taken seriously. With a strong portfolio and identity and branding, you'll obviously need a website next. This part is fairly straightforward these days with tools like Squarespace, Wix, WordPress, and Webflow. It's not hard to launch a portfolio with your custom brand very quickly. What's harder is to launch your website to the top of search results. And for me, this was a very important goal. If event photography was my primary or only source of revenue, of course I'd be working really hard to network, pound the pavement, and get to know all the vendors and event centers that I can. I'd form relationships with these folks and offer kickbacks for preferred referrals. As anyone in the event space will tell you, this sort of work is vital. It's why, for example, caterers work so hard to get preferred or even enforced vendor status. And as important as all of that is, it does take a lot of time investment, time I just don't have a lot of. So for me, I wanted to start with the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to passive efforts. And that means dominating the local search engine results when it comes to the type of event photography that you do. And here again is where I turned to Fiverr for help. I needed my website to be optimized for search, for Google to take it seriously. This is where I got help from Jesus, who specializes in on-page SEO and technical SEO support to boost those Google rankings. And this was the easiest marketing effort I've ever done. With just $200 and giving him administration access to my website, Jesus was able to boost me to the top of search results for my locale, which is awesome for just helping me to passively gain business without having to invest a lot of time and money, which I do not have. But I will say that depending on where you live, you really can't neglect networking and expect to excel. If you want to get more jobs, you'll need to reach out to other vendors like florists, DJs, caterers, AV companies, and event setters themselves, making friendships with them and offer them cash for referrals. Your talent and friendship does matter. Let's be honest though, money talks. Also, try to think out of the box here. One of the event centers where I live publishes their event schedules on the website and even reveals the name and contact info for the event planner. Now, they probably shouldn't do this, but I use this to my advantage. Every month, I'll check this schedule and go through and email these folks with my basic outreach form email to see if I can't convince them that they need me to be their photographer. I'm guessing you won't have the same low-hanging fruit, but the point is to be creative and to use your time wisely in order to secure more paying jobs. Here's where I would normally talk about social media efforts and how to just dominate your local Instagram, but I'm going to admit to you here that I just don't have time for this. Since event photography work is not my full-time job, there's only so much I can do, and this is where I've had to draw the line personally, so I can't offer much advice here, but it could be a massively important strategy depending on where you live and depending on how people use social media, Instagram, etc. to find photographers. But the key is to do just enough to promote your business that you can get those weekends and evenings that you have free booked. But that's all for now. I really hope that you found something helpful here and wish you the very best in your event photography work. Remember to do good with your camera, and I'll talk to you again real soon.